Now, Sports Talk with Broads. Here's Hunter Brody.
The Commanders, the Washington Commanders, on Monday Night Football, go into your stadium and shuts you up like that? They outplayed you. They whooped your ass. What was that from the defensive line? What was that from Fletcher Cox? Darius Slay had an abysmal day. A.J. Brown didn't show up. This is reality. Nick Sirianni had how many days off to prepare for this one? Because the last they played was on Thursday night in Houston. So they had a couple more 24-hour sessions to go over what their philosophy was going to be. Yet for some reason, Miles Sanders isn't a part of anything until late. I didn't think Jalen Hurts was perfect by any means. But I thought he made a couple throws that were good enough to win the game. But Quez Watkins decides to fumble it. The throw to A.J. Brown in double coverage was a description of a perfect throw by Jalen Hurts. You can't make it any more perfect than that. It wasn't an easy catch, but man, when you talk about right on the money, that couldn't have been any more perfect to touching A.J. Brown's fingertips. They didn't crush you yards per carry rise in the run game, but in terms of how many plays they kept running, time of possession, keeping Jalen Hurts and the offense on the sidelines, they tore you up with the time of possession. Look at these drives. 13 plays, 7 minutes and 21 seconds. 12 plays, 6 minutes and 30 seconds. 16 plays, 7 minutes and 4 seconds. 14 plays, 8 minutes and 23 seconds. So many third down conversions. And I don't want to hear that they were third and short, so of course they're going. Well, then do better on first and second down, damn it. How about instead of 2nd and 6, we make it 2nd and 13? You throw a couple tight ends in the mix to block some of your defensive pressure, and I guess they just can't do anything. I'm aware Jordan Davis isn't there, and I know how much he swallows up a lot of running backs. You got to do better than what you're giving us, because teams have seen the blueprint. Teams have seen what you are capable of doing when you commit to the run. And guess what? Think about some of the future opponents here. Whether it's Tennessee, whether it's Indianapolis, there's guys that know how to do some damage. Saquon Barkley's having a nice season this year. I'm just saying. Now, I get it. Jordan Davis will eventually return. And I know they missed someone like Avonte Maddox. But think about this. When you know Avonte Maddox isn't there and you're relying on a different slot corner in Scott, who on the first third down ended up having a breakup, but he didn't really turn his head. But think about how this game started off. Blankenship hits the punter, which then made it a totally different ball game, but Josh Sweat delivers with the strip sack. And the place goes nuts because you're up 7-0. The place loses its mind because you think it's going to be another day at the office. I wonder if that sequence kind of killed everything because you start smelling yourself. You start thinking you're okay. There were times where you thought Washington probably could have scored a touchdown. Instead, it was a field goal. But I'm also pissed off with Nick Sirianni. I don't know how great of a move it was to accept the penalty to allow them to kick a 55-yarder instead of, maybe accept the penalty. Push them back. Didn't love that out of Nicholas. Didn't love getting away from the run game from Nicholas. But yeah, Gannon, he was putrid once again, soft coverage. But anyway, getting back to the Scott thing, you'd think that maybe Curtis Samuel, just other weapons other than Terry McLaurin, is going to wax you, especially because Darius Slay is there. But there were some timely third down throw, 3rd and 5. Here's the Washington Commanders wide open across the middle or to the right side at the sideline. Beautiful throw by Heineke, puts it on a rope. But guys are wide open. The coverage is soft. Typical Jonathan Gannon, but your players didn't show up either. Brandon Graham at the end. I mean, I don't like the fact that a game ends like that. But at the same time, in 2022, I didn't think he had to lunge that way after Heineke took the knee. But, I mean, he looked like a complete loser celebrating the way that he did afterwards. I mean, at that point, I'm so embarrassed as a referee that I got to pick up the flag and say, sorry, dude. I'm removing it. I despised the flag on C.J. Gardner-Johnson over by the sideline because his foot was inbounds, but he made up for it for an interception right afterwards. The problem is, I guess the biggest issue I have with a flag, and they didn't lose this game because of a flag. They got outworked. They got dominated. Something that happened last time these two teams met was 9 sacks. Difference in quarterback, Carson Wentz holds on to the football too long. He's always reading through his progressions. He doesn't see things quick enough. He's always trying to extend the play. Trust me. Big correlation with Carson Wentz being the one under center and being the one in shotgun and Taylor Heineke being a different player. We've seen that happen way too many damn times when Wentz was here. But you didn't get any pressure. None. You lost because you got dominated. But my biggest criticism of the crew, of the Zebras, was Dallas Goedert and the lack of a call when he gets his mask completely yanked towards the ground and he fumbled. Dude, if you're watching the guy with the football, which at that point there are people paid to make decisions and make calls who are staring directly at the guy with the football, I don't know how you don't blow the whistle. It is literally impossible to not see it if you are watching the man running down the field with the football. But even after that, you had a chance. The score at the time was 26. I wrote it down. 26-21. Yo, Quez, that's losing football. That's what that is. Losing football. I have no issue with you getting up after not being touched. Quite frankly, I think there's a debate to be had. Get up and go. Get up and try and score. But the laziness and the lack of focus. The lack of focus is probably a better way to describe it. You know guys are chasing you down. You know when you get up, there's guys running full speed to come get you. I don't know how you could be so lackadaisical with the football in your hand when you get up. You could feel from my house, okay? And damn it was cold out there in South Philadelphia. It might be even colder in my house. My heat broke last night. So I woke up, my house was 60 degrees. I was freezing my ass off. I had no socks walking around the kitchen. Damn, my feet are freezing. What the hell? And then I come home from work. It's 57 in my house. I am freezing. It's freezing. I could tell at my house, in my basement, with 7 blankets on, 3 hoodies, my dog all cuddled up to me, that the place deflated the moment Quez Watkins fumbled that football. Quez's name doesn't get called very often, okay? He's not A.J. Brown. He's not Devontae Smith. You're very limited in those. And we knew the home run plays were going to be timely and needed from him this season. So when you get that golden chance, you can't let it slip, dude. You can't piss it away. Because they're not going to happen every week. They're just going to happen periodically. But when it's there, have to hit the home run. So just totally unacceptable from Quez Watkins. It just can't happen. Can't happen at all. I don't know what the hell was going on with the fake punt, the 2-minute warning debacle. Lots of losing plays. That's why I'm not looking at the Zebras and going full attention there. I'm looking at the players first. One team looked hungrier. One team looked like they wanted it more. Were they waiting until the second half? I don't know why you would do that. Washington came out more prepared. And that's bizarre considering what they go through every day. Their owner selling the team, not selling the team. Horrible human being. Isn't there like a general attorney down in D.C. and this and that? Owners hate him around the league every day. They're getting asked questions about lawsuits and how bad Dan Snyder is. They can barely focus on football. And on national television, Monday Night Football against an undefeated team, their backup quarterback, and Robinson and McLaurin heavily outwork you. You're going to lose football games. We knew at some point there would be a game that you lost. And for as bad as they played, they still had a chance. They just turned the football over. We praise this team all the time for how smart they are, for how they create the turnovers. The turnover differential is wild. That's why you've been winning. So, of course, when you turn the ball over as much as you do, it makes sense that it results in an L. But even throughout the ugliness, let's be honest. You focus up for 1%, 2%, 3% more, and you probably sneak away with it. Now, I know A.J. Brown's going positive, smile on his face in the locker room, saying, if you thought I was going to have a frown, that's not who I am. The best part about this sport is having a chance to respond. You're right. You're right. How do you react to this? How do you bounce back? And I expect them to kick ass because I know they're a damn good football team. I would like a little bit more anger, but everybody's different. Just because I would handle it differently, I'd probably be in a Brandon Graham stance. In front of my locker, pad still on, having the media approach me. I had to be better there. I can't put myself in a position where the referees have a chance to decide it. That's on me. I own up to it. We'll be better. They were better than us today with a little bit more attitude to it. But A.J. Brown, that's him. We don't really know how some of these guys are going to answer. We don't know how they're going to look. We don't know body language because all they've done to this point is win. So this is us learning about them. We knew it was inevitable. I don't hate this team, but I'm mad tonight. Both can be true. They're 8-1. They're still at the top of the NFC. They beat the Minnesota Vikings, which might come back to being a very crucial part of the conversation later in the season, depending on how everything plays out. You're still fine, but I'm still aggravated because I thought they shot themselves in the foot, which is weird because I also think they got outplayed, but they're so good that even when they aren't A+, and realistic, that might have been a D+ game, they still could have won. So I'm aggravated that they didn't sneak away with the win that they didn't necessarily deserve. Even though if you play with fire, eventually you're going to get caught. Eventually bad things are going to happen. And I think that's kind of what we saw today. But I'm just stunned with the defense and how they played. Jonathan Gannon, soft coverage, Slay, bad. Defensive line, manhandled. Fletch, dude, you're an Eagles hero. You're an Eagles all-timer. Dude, woof. There's no running away from that one. In what universe? Scary, man. Scary on how bad it was. No doubt. All right. Let's take some calls, I guess. A 41-yard play, 42-yard play by Terry McLaurin on Slay. Disgusting. Just disgusting. Same with those 3rd and 1s, man. It's like, hey, how about we do something better? How about we force it to be 2nd and 13, 2nd and 12? How about it's 3rd and 10? And then even when it's 3rd and 5, it's just brutal. How much space is open in the middle of the field? Guys like Taylor Heineke are going to do. At one point, someone put this out there. I apologize. I don't remember exactly who it was. It was along the lines of, at one point, they were connecting on 3rd down, somewhere around 75, 80% clip or so. Something around the line, 75, 70, 80%. Just something crazy, right? basically every turn. At one point, it was like 5 consecutive third downs. Brutal. They came into the game in the 30% range. It kind of reminded me of last year's Gannon to a level. Guys who are just average, not missing throws. Remember that? Historic completion percentage week after week after week in the first year under Gannon. My point of bringing that up is sometimes with the way he goes about things, Taylor Heineke, if it's 3rd and 5, he's got to make the throw. This is the National Football League. Hell, Nate Sudfeld had a chance to make throws. If they're going to be open, guys are going to be able to pitch and catch. But it was a collective group. It was the entire team. It was from the coaching staff all the way down. And I'm not blaming rust. I'm not blaming days off, only playing 2 games in a long period of time. That's not why they lost. That's not why they lost. I can't believe A.J. Brown only had 1 catch. Stunned. Think about before the game began. If someone said, yo, dude, guess what? A.J. Brown finishes with 1 reception. You'd be like, you're on drugs. You do some serious drugs. You're snorting something. Yet here we are. All right. Here we go. Anytime hotline. Let's kick things off.
Bros, that was the dumbest shit I think I've ever seen in my entire football watching life. The flag on the tackle of Heineke when he took the knee, not necessary, really stupid. I hate refs. The missed face mask on Goddard, really bad. But really what did it for this game was there were 2 or 3 50-50 balls to A.J. Brown that he didn't come down with. And I think that's ultimately what swung this game, but the Eagles did not get any help from the refs. I don't care. We lost the Commanders. It doesn't matter because it was a fluky-ass game, and it sucks as an Eagles fan, but it's a fluky-ass game, and we were the better team, and we're not going to lose again like this, so.
I don't know if they were the better team tonight. No, I cannot agree with that statement. Not today. Not November 14th. They were not the better team today. Not at all. They still could have won. Couple plays could have swung it. But, I mean, that's football, right? In the NFL, if Josh Allen at the 1-yard line doesn't fumble the football, the Minnesota Vikings don't win in overtime. But I think it's funny. Right now, all we heard was the Eagles' schedule isn't hard. The Eagles don't play very good teams. Yet the Minnesota Vikings, with their record, who the Eagles beat, by the way, and they made them look like their father. I mean, seriously, the Eagles dominated where they looked like their father. They beat them so bad that people thought the Vikings weren't a good team. That's how one-sided it was. Now, all of a sudden, the conversation changes when they beat the Bills. And it's not, oh, the Bills had a bad team on their schedule and had a bad loss in overtime. They were just a fumble away. No. Now, all of a sudden, look who the Vikings are. It's just weird to me how the narrative changes depending on what team wins and who it is. And it's strange. This team is going to be okay long term. I truly believe it. But yeah, I mean, A.J. Brown, I can't get over the one pass. The one pass. That was it. There should be one we're talking about with A.J. Brown. And you saw him limp, and he was hobbling to the sidelines, and he didn't look very good after that. Apparently, he's going to be all right. It touched his fingertips between 2 defenders. Think about the difference, speaking of narratives. If he makes that catch, we go, whoa, highlight reel stuff. SportsCenter top 10. That thing was a dime, a dot. Can't be any more perfect. But because it hits his hands and then slides into the defender, ooh, double coverage. Ooh, he probably shouldn't have pushed it downfield. Yeah, he should have. Yeah, he should have. I want my quarterback taking shots like that. making throws downfield like that. That's what special quarterbacks do. And if he does that, 9 times out of 10, 8 times out of 10, you're benefiting from it. I'm just kind of stunned to see AJ be human. I thought he wasn't human. I thought none of these guys were human. Apparently, we're figuring out they are after this one. Let's take another call.
That might have been the most rigged game since Tom Brady deflated footballs in the NFC Championship game. I mean, it's not like they missed one call. You had the unnecessary roughness when a dude was clearly in bounds. I mean, it wasn't even close. His whole foot, he had 2 feet in bounds. You have the face mask where the tallest man on the field that has the ball. You're watching the ball. Dallas Goedert's clearly the tallest man by the ball. His head's turned sideways and you miss it. And then at the end, I mean, like, what do you want Brandon Graham to do? He's halfway to tackling the dude, and Heineke takes a knee right in front of him. This is the softest league I've seen in my entire life. It's not just been the Eagles game. Look around the league. There's other been terrible calls, unnecessary roughness, roughing the passer.
Yeah, I with all due respect, my takeaway isn't referees today. I didn't like them. Trust me, they weren't my favorite. I've seen better execution. The Dallas Goedert one, I'm probably going to stay up at night watching the replay, wondering how it's humanly possible to just somehow seriously stare. How do you stare at the guy with the football in his hands, see his head get completely yanked to the ground with the hands grabbing on the face mask, the bars getting pulled? I don't know how you don't call that. I don't know how. But I think I'm more irritated on just personal play, coaching staff, special teams. I know special teams isn't the most important. It's not. Offense, defense. It does seem like every week it's something, though. The 2-minute warning issue tonight. Blankenship hitting the punter, even though it ended up benefiting. He got lucky, got bailed out by Josh Sweat. Josh Sweat should be given a nice Rita's run or something. Rita's even open anymore? More than Rita's, too. What am I, $4 gelati? The hell am I doing? Maybe a Rolex. Thanks, man. Here's a Rolex. What's that? You want to go to Louis Vuitton? I got you. $2,000 shirt. Nice piece to add to the wardrobe. Okay. And speaking of wardrobes, the way Jalen Hurts entered the facility, the way Devontae Smith walked in, all those pregame fits, fire. Part of me goes, you're not losing a football game when you dress like that with that type of swag. The other half goes, when everyone and their mother retweets those pictures and says Eagles by 1,000, oh no. It's almost just one of those things. It's almost one of those tells. You can't buy into that social media hype. Things go south when that happens. And, well, it was the Commanders. The Commanders were the team to knock them off. Another narrative that I'm not a big fan of is at least they got that undefeated storyline out of the way. I don't want it out of the way. Why do you want that out of the way? I don't want that out of the way. I want to stay undefeated as long as humanly possible. And getting to 8-0 is not easy. I'm just saying, it's like, hey, we can take a deep breath. We can stop thinking about being undefeated. Why? Why do you want to stop thinking about being undefeated? Wouldn't you rather think about being 10-0? Wouldn't you rather want to talk about being 12-0? I get it's not an easy task. I'm just saying. To try and sell the positive story. Here's the positive. You can stop getting asked about being undefeated. You think Tom Brady, eventually they actually didn't win the Super Bowl this year, but when Tom Brady's going undefeated, you think he was thrilled that they stopped asking? You think Tom was like, oh, this is so glorious. Thank the Lord. This is an amazing feeling. I'm so glad I'm not getting peppered about the big old goose egg in the loss column anymore. Hell no. No. That doesn't satisfy me. Every day I want to debate on when the first loss was going to happen. That's the way I prefer. So no reason to try and sell the positives. How about you bite into the realism? I'm pissed. We sucked. We should be pissed off. I want that to be the message. Then the intensity rises. Then everybody is a bit different for the practice week. That's the way I kind of see it. All right, we're going to take one more.
I am usually not the kind of fan to blame the refs for whenever their team loses a game. I think that's what loser fans do, that people who make excuses. But you got to admit, the refs absolutely jobbed out the Eagles tonight. Missing a blatant face mask on Dallas Goedert that gave Washington the ball, and they looked like they were getting in sync. And one of the softest roughing the passer penalties I've ever seen called in an NFL game. Because the Eagles, their defense got exposed, and Jonathan Gannon needs to wake up, because all the teams that we're going to play for the rest of the year are going to study the tape on what Washington did and how they managed to eat up the clock.
Well, yeah, they ran the football. They ran the football on you. We've always talked about the poor tackling, just in general. And we saw someone like Robinson run the ball like it was the last time he was going to get a chance to, every time the ball was in his hands, powering through. And without Jordan Davis, well, that's going to be a hard hole to fill. I think it's a flaw that isn't easy to cover up. But within that issue, you can still do better than what you've done. There is a middle ground here. And once again, if you stop them and force them to be in 2nd and long, 2nd and 12, if you get some stops on 1st down, if you do something to force them to throw 3rd and 1, 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 3rd and 1. How about win off the line of scrimmage? How about stuff them? Early you saw Josh Sweat, not only with the strip sack, but get a nice tackle for loss. Maybe it was back at the line of scrimmage, but it might have been a loss, a tackle for a loss, 1 or 2. It was a good pop. You do that, help stop the other team from running. The Eagles did have a lead. So another part to this would be, if you get up early and you're winning 14-0, you're up 17-3, milking the clock for as long as you do. So you got to have a sense of urgency, because now you're not only fighting the battle of the score and you're looking uphill, but you have to look at the clock too. But, the Eagles did have a lead. The problem is, as soon as they took a 7-0 lead, it's 7-7. Okay, the Eagles respond. They kick a field goal. The response was always there, and the momentum was given right back. So while your offense was waiting, holding the helmets on the sideline, sitting down, waiting for it to be their turn again, you just kill all the rhythm. Because for how long these drives were? 7 minutes, 6 minutes and 30 seconds. Think about it. 7-7. Then it's 14-7, 14-10. The interception happened. Think about the difference if A.J. Brown makes that catch when the score is 14-10. Worst case scenario, it's a field goal instead of a touchdown. But I know it's not going to be an interception. They score a touchdown off of that, go 86 yards on 16 plays, 7 minutes and 4 seconds. They take the lead. You have to punt. I didn't even like the idea that of the Eagles punting late with the 3 timeouts and playing that game. So questions all around. It's the first time we've really had to sit here like this. It's weird. It's different. But you know how it goes. Union lose on penalty kicks. They rip our hearts out. I'm a very casual fan that jumps on the bandwagon in the postseason for soccer. But I'm learning, and I'm getting better at it. Just being honest. But I enjoyed watching them in the postseason. Not until the end. The end was brutal. Phillies lose. Flyers are starting to become reality again. Sixers are finally starting to pick it up, but they struggled through 12 games. They were 5-7. Think about where we were about a week ago or so. Think about where we were 10 days ago and where we are right now. This guy's not falling for this team, okay? And I think the Sixers figure it out. It's not going to be, I'm just saying, it's wild. We thought we were going to possibly have 2 championships on one Saturday. Instead, we get Zippo. It's tough out there. It's hard. And we'll be continuing to talk about this team throughout the week. Crazy. Just crazy. Thank you guys all so much for hanging out with me. You're the greatest. I love you. I will catch you on the next one.